Well, g'day and welcome to this week's video blog on the journey to wholeness. It's been a pretty big week here in Atlanta, Georgia. We had snow. We had probably 4 inches here, and much more in the north. It was ice, and so all the therapies were cancelled, and so I've not really got out this week to do formal therapy. But I have continued to work on my journey. One of the things that is key to recovering of a stroke, as well as other benefits, is rest. Rest is a very key thing. Jürgen Moltmann wrote a book called Theology of Play, in which he does a job of enunciating the difference between game theory, where we play with rules and there are winners and losers, and as opposed to play, which is often unstructured, and invites us to use the imagination which God has given us to be playful. And so in the healing journey, part of my growing awareness of God's gift to creation is to develop one's innate gift from God to be playful, and something which I do not do. I grew up very competitive in sport and games, and so therefore in games, Monopoly, in my family, the game always ended up with someone crying, they didn't win, someone lost. If we played checkers or chess, people end up crying, some win, some didn't win. And then I grew up in playing rugby union football, which is about winning and losing, character building, but people like to win. And that's a part of game theory, which you can read about. So healing, if healing's to do with playfulness, as Moulton points out to us, then we have to discover and inhabit playfulness as a way of being, as a normative part of being. And often we don't make time to be playful. We might make time to play games, but that's not the same as being playful. Game theory, which is just that you have rules. You see kids organize, these are the rules of the game, and they very quickly would have boundaries in which you have to be, and outside of the boundary, you're out. Football is a good example of the barriers and boundaries of the field, the limestone on the field. There's game theory. This is the rules, and it's rule governed, and then it gets taken over into how governments are formed and governments are tossed out because they did not follow the rules. But a theology of play does not have boundaries. It is about living into the fullness of God. We're not going to set artificial boundaries. And so in one particular aspect of that, the book's material on recovery from stroke emphasize 3 fundamental components. One is eating has a huge impact on our brains. And so, as I share with you the book, Grain Brain, I invite you to read it. And he lays out the scientific research for eating differently in order to help your brain function better and longer. That's one. The second is exercise, and the importance of exercise, what it does to your body in terms of your metabolic rate. And that also is a gift from God. Therefore, how can we exercise? And I would suggest playful. And thirdly, and probably importantly and often ignored, is the importance of sleep or even slumber. Joan Chichester, who's a Benedictine author, one of my favorite writers and speakers, she, in one of the parts of her rule, I just read this week, she talks about how in the Benedictine rhythm of life, how the monks would set their biological clocks to coordinate with the season. So therefore, in winter, they would go to bed at sunset. They'd sleep 8 hours and get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, rested, read and pray, and then do the dua also and go through the day. But they are getting a good 8 hours sleep, and they sleep at the beginning of the night, not at the end. Joan points out to us, with the invention of electric light, we put ourselves to sleep at the end of the night and not at the beginning. Sure. So if we, to follow the Benedictine virtue of sleeping first, the monks, they'd go to sleep at sunset, 6:23 tonight in Georgia, and sleep 8 hours. You'd wake up at 2 a.m., which is what they do. And then they read and pray, and then do the office, the divine office, and to do their routines. And at the end of the day, they go to sleep at sunset. At the different quality of sleep, you get REM sleep. The more hours you sleep before midnight, the better a brain functions. So perhaps we need to revisit the Benedictine virtues of sleep and be more aware of how rest, renovation, recuperation of a stroke, as well as at the end of the day, perhaps it's not that helpful to come home from work and then watch TV for 5 hours from 6 to 11, and then finally go to bed at 11, 11:30, 12, and then you're going to sleep, when it's actually counterproductive in terms of our own biological preference. If sleep and wakefulness are a gift of God, perhaps we need to rethink how we either ignore this gift or we embrace the gift or slumber. You probably know the experience of going on vacation and catching that afternoon nap. Well, that's good. Perhaps we can reorientate our priorities in order to make sleep a very big part of wellness and mystery, and hopefully with good sleep we'll become more playful. Thank you. I'll see you next week. God bless.